Blast me to the Ramesses system. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey, issue 87, full coverage. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Today we're continuing with our Redemptor Dreadnought and we have part 2 and issue 87. So as usual, before we get into anything, don't forget to of course like the video if you are enjoying the content, and if you are, don't forget you can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it's the only way you can keep up to date with all my mad content. If you'd like to help support the channel, there's of course the Patreon link in the description down below, and there's also that comment section, so drop me a comment down below, let me know how you got on with your Redemptor Dreadnought. I thoroughly enjoyed building and painting mine. And I've got 2 more left to do, so still plenty to work on. So let's take a look then at the frame. We got some nice extra bits, but still not enough to build anything substantial. And then we have a magazine to go through, some nice background lore, and of course the build guide for this beautiful model. So here's our Redemptor Dreadnought frame for this issue, and it is the middle frame. Again, there's not a lot on here that we can actually put to use. We do have parts of the arm and leg armor. We have both the feet, though we are, I believe, no, we have all 3 of the toes that are needed to build that particular foot. We have some remaining parts of the arm here. We also have parts of the hip joints, the exhaust and back detail. We got the front part for the sarcophagus here, and half of the actual main torso itself there, plus the waist and hip joints itself. So yeah, pretty chock-a-block. Flip it over just so you can see the other side. Lots of nice detail on this kit. So yeah, you can see that the legs have fittings on either side, so you can use either of these legs on either side of the particular torso, as we have a little peg here and a nub to guide as well. So yeah, you can help pose your model a little better by simply swapping over the legs that you each time you build a different one. But yeah, pretty cool. We have the back generator there, which looks pretty cool, that Cog Mechanicus symbol there, and plenty of pipes, so you can pick out some nice detail with those. Yeah, like I said, once we get the next frame, we'll be able to build this guy and add him to our force. Alright then, let's take a look at issue 87. We've got some brand new lore, a story, and of course we've got our build guide. Here we go then with issue 87. So we have Warzone Sabat Worlds, we have the Fulminators and Howling Griffins chapter, we have the Tyranids devouring part of their assaults, and we have a story called The Ascension. We build our Dreadnought and we have our campaign mission defending Gleantha. So let's take a look then at the Sabat Worlds. So the Sabat Worlds campaign was one of expulsion and reconquest fought against chaos-tainted cultists under the leadership of a group of heretical magisters. So yeah, pretty big campaign within the 40k narrative. So myths portray the legendary Saint Sabat as having driven heretics from the Sabat Worlds, as they were subsequently named, over 6 millennia previously. However, sporadic fighting between Chaos and the Imperium have continued in the region for thousands of years since. In the second half of the 41st millennium, a crusade was undertaken to reconquer the world region by Warmaster Slado. So Slado took his conquest to try and retake the world, but facing off against the Blood Pact, it wasn't exactly an easy fight. Yeah. Sabat Worlds system here in the Segmentum Pacificus. And here we see the renowned Abraham Gaunt. And here we see a bit more information about him. So he is Colonel Commissar Gaunt, one of the most storied heroes within the Imperium and the Sabat Worlds itself. He leads a particular squad of veterans known as Gaunt's Ghosts, part of the Tanith First and Only. And he, of course, is the star of a novel series by the legendary writer Dan Abnett. So, yeah. Here we see War Master Sladew, who was leader of the initial stages of the Crusade, but was slain by Archon Nadzibar of the Blood Pact. And so, after that, Commodore Gaunt took up command. Here we see the detailing the Gaunt's Ghosts and a few of their most notable members. So we got Helene Larkin, a renowned sniper. We have Colonel Colm Corback, a rather chunky, muscled man who is a gunner with his regular las rifle there. We got the Cyber Eagle, who is a mascot almost for the regiment. We have Try Again Bragg, the heavy weapons wielder of the squad. And we have Sergeant Tona Creed, who is one of the few female first and only troopers. She was the first woman promoted to sergeant in what was previously only a male-only regiment. Then finally we have a little bit of background information on the Chaos cult that they were up against, the Blood Pact. So Cornate followers, they wear these rather gruesome looking masks, very reminiscent of the Eldari Harlequins, in a rather leering, laughing god face there. But yeah, whilst the Blood Pact is predominantly seen as a corn worshipping thing, the forces of Chaos as a whole was prevalent at the overall Sabat's campaign. Forces of Nurgle, Tzeentch, Khorne, and Slaanesh were all seen within the various fighting rounds of the Sabat Worlds. Moving on, we got some new chapters of Space Marines to look at, and this one is a very new chapter. It's called The Fulminators, Sons of the Ultima Founding. Created during the Ultima Founding, the Fulminators are a chapter comprised entirely of Primaris Space Marines. Born in an age of ceaseless conflict, the Fulminators fight at the forefront of the Indomitus Crusade, seeking to prove themselves the equal of their elders. So the first Space Marines of the Fulminators chapter were created in the M31 as the final battles of the Scouring were being fought. These original warriors are drawn from the ranks of the Terran Guard, amongst the first Primaris Space Marines to be created by Belisarius Cawl. They were placed in stasis, remaining hidden for 8,000 years. It is said that the chapter was named for the electrical storms that raged over Mars at the time of their creation. So yeah, part of Guilliman's initial stages of the Indomitus Crusades. These guys saw great conflict against the Death Guard as a Death Guard invaded Ultramar, and they fought alongside their parent chapter, the Ultramarines. A not-so-new chapter is the Howling Griffins. They are adherents to the Codex Astartes, though. Founded from the gene seed of the Ultramarines chapter, the Howling Griffins have established a formidable battle record in the 7,000 years since their founding. They are known to swear oaths, pledging to achieve great deeds in service of the Emperor. So, if the Black Templars are the most faithful and zeal infused of Dawn's lineage, the Harrow Griffins pretty much are the same for Guilliman's. Though they do at least adhere to the Codex Astartes, they do, as it says, pledge oaths of great deeds that they attempt to achieve in the name of the Emperor. They are based on the planet world of Mancora, which is both chapter planet and a night world for nobles of House Traynor. It's a feudal world, so pre-industrial levels of technology, and it's a state of constant warfare pretty much. But it does give loads of good recruits for the chapter. And yeah, pretty cool colour scheme as well. They have a quartered colour scheme where they got the left arm and torso in red and the right leg in red, and then the left leg in yellow and the right arm in yellow. Really cool, nice knightly aesthetic chapter, and pretty good for those wishing to challenge themselves in painting. So yeah, moving on to continue our focus on the Tyranids. Not like they're playing a big part in the narrative at the moment, are they? I'm not too sure. With the planet's defenders in full retreat, the Tyranids dispatch a final wave of bioforms tasked with devouring all organic matter and preparing for its consumption. So yeah, once a battle has been won, the Tyranids send in what's known as feeder beasts to start the consumption of organic matter, both alien and Tyranid. So yeah, creatures such as Rippers, which are living carpets of ravenous beasts. Think piranhas, but on land. They will strip anything that is organic in nature down and will be sent back to the Hive Fleet in orbit. Harusfexes are giant mouths bedecked in tentacles that will eat creatures whole. And pyrovores burn away anything with acidic flames, leaving a ruined world devoid of all life. So we got a rather cool chaos-focused story here. This is the Ascension. The path to demonhood is paved in blood and suffering. Only a privileged few possess the strength of mind and body to ascend. Most fall in forgotten battles, or suffer a horrific fate far worse than mere death. So this follows a Chaos Champion as he seeks to raise his ranks in the Chaos cults higher and higher, hoping to achieve demonhood. So he's a member of the Red Corsairs, once the rather loyal, fighting force of Space Marines from the Badab War. Though he does feel the power of chaos and it infuses him, it doesn't go the way he hopes, and he ends up nothing more than a blubbering spawn of chaos. So, it's a nice little insight to the paths of dark gods. Right, now we have our build guide for the Redemptor Dreadnought. So this guy is pretty in-depth. He is a massive multi-part kit. It does mention to do this in 2 sub-assemblies, but it also does mention to leave your arms loose so you can reach other areas, making it a lot easier for painting later on. So there are alternate builds. You can glue the front down or leave it loose and able to open up. You also have different weapon options and other war gear choices. So we start by building the main body of the Redemptor. So we have the 2 sides, where the sarcophagus chamber sits. The power pack there goes on. The main base with the front plate there. Don't glue in the weapon mounts, you can leave them loose. They do lock in once you glue these pieces on. We've got our armor plates here. These need to be glued on. Then we can start putting on the sarcophagus and the actual weapon choices. So we are using the storm bolters, but you can use the missile launchers. Then we are actually adding on the Icarus pod, which is an optional piece. And then we got the choice of 2 different fronts, but the paint guide will show us how to paint part 83. Then we have a hip assembly. So one good thing about this model is you can leave it in a good position to be posable even after painting. If you want to be a bit more posable, you could cut this nub off here, replacing it with a magnet, gluing another magnet on the underside of the torso in the well here, and then have it magnetized and pretty posable. Speaking of posability, we are to attach these leg joints here that go around the hips, and you want to leave them loose at the moment as you need to position them when you attach the rest of the legs. If you glue them down, it may give you a rather funny position for your Dreadnought. I remember the first time I built one, my Dreadnought was leaning back a little too much as these bits are glued in place, and sadly my body was tilting backwards a little bit more than it normally should do. So just take time with building them and take care not to apply too much glue. So here we glue the legs. You can, of course, as I mentioned earlier, choose any one to go on either side, as it says here, so 64 or 101. And then, yeah, you just choose which side goes on where. Glue them on, glue everything in place. So I'll lock up all these components here. Glue in these small dome pieces to cover up the hip guards. We have to actually build up a foot here. You either have it flat or slightly tilted, as it shows here. Then we start building up our arm components. So we want to leave this component loose so our arm can move, as well as not gluing around here so that the arm can rotate if you so chose. And the same for the actual shoulder joints. Gluing the fingers in place and the shoulder plate, and then choosing your gun, so Gatling cannon or heavy flamer. Then we have our plasma cannon or our Gatling cannon. So 68, we actually do have 2 of these on the frame, so you can build up both weapons if you so chose. Just don't glue them down, and then you'll be able to swap out quite easily. Yeah, you want to make sure you leave it so you can angle the gun if you so chose. Then we build up the right arm assembly, putting in place before attaching the gun and the shoulder pad. Like I said, you don't have to glue the gun arm on, as I'll show you in the next video. I've actually left mine interchangeable. And yeah, here's the little section where you can, if you want to, put a magnet into, and then replace that small nub with a magnet, and then allow him nice freedom to move. Finally, you have options to attach some purity seals, just to add a little bit more extra detail to the model. Looking at our mission for this issue, then we have Defending Dliantha. So another 75 power mission, all using all 4 mats. And yeah, we're fighting for control over 5 objectives here. Due to the gaseous haze, we have a reduced visibility area, so you can't target units that are further than 18 inches apart. At the end of each battle round, roll d6. If at the current battle round number, if it equals 7 or more, the gas is cleared. So yeah, pretty cool. Then looking into the future, or far future, shall I say, issue 88 brings us our final part of the Dreadnought frame, as well as the paint guide, so Space Rule for Heroes. And we also learn about Holy Terror. In issue 89 then, we get a brand new character for the Imperium side. This is Inquisitor Lord Kyriatraxis. Building and paint guides, and we have her datasheet. So yeah. So there we have it for issue 87. Rather good lore there for us to read. Nice new story, and our build guide for the Dreadnought. So yeah, let me know what you thought of that issue in the comment section down below. And I'll be back with part 3, issue 88 of the Dreadnought, where we get to see how this guy is painted up. And we can finally build him as one of our final components we need. So yeah, there we have it. So thank you again all for watching. Let me know how you've got on building your Redemptor Dreadnought. Have you had any accidents like I have with mine, where certain bits have seized up and glued in incorrect places? And also let me know how many of these you've actually built over time. This is my 4th one I've actually built. I've built 2 easy build ones, and this being my 2nd full part one. I have 2 more to build, giving me a total of 6. And of course I have the new one from the Leviathan box as well, the Ballistaris Dreadnought. The only one I'm missing is the Brutalis Dreadnought, which I do plan to pick up at some point in the near future. But he is looking a bit hard to get hold of at the moment, because he is still only available through the Strike Force Augustus box and has yet to see a solo release. But looking forward to it. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you next time on the Imperium journey. Thank you and goodbye.